It seems like just the other day I found the Flydigi Apex 4 on Amazon, bought it, tested it, and fell in love with it. Well, a lot has happened since then. Flydigi commented on the original video, y'all supported like crazy through the links, and I have been in contact with Flydigi. We've been going back and forth, and they have sent me a new addition to their lineup to test. This is the Flydigi Vader 4 Pro. Now, before we get into all the revolutionary software changes and the small hardware changes to this, we're gonna get out of the way the small differences between this and the Apex 4. This is slightly smaller, as confirmed by my contact at Flydigi. It also doesn't have the rubberized coating that the Apex 4 and most Pro controllers have on the back. Instead, it has this plastic textured bit. It's not bad, but I do recommend the Talon Games Adhesive Vader 3 Griptape, which is cut to the Vader 3, which is the same shape as this. It's the older version of this controller. It will fit on, and it gives the controller a really nice rubber textured grip. The two big physical changes from the Apex 4 to the Vader 4 Pro are first how the tension is done. If you look around each stick, there's a small gray ring. This gray ring is labeled min and max, and it has several tick marks on it, and there's also an indicator arrow on the face of the controller. This is how you control the tension. Twist it to the minimum direction, and you have very little tension. This is how I run my left stick, so I can have instant movement. Twist it to the right, and you'll get more tension. I run my right stick about halfway on the tension. No more having to pull off the faceplate to adjust it. And this also means that now there are hard stops on the tension. A lot of people were over tightening the Apex 4 and causing some joystick issues. Now there are hard stops. You cannot go past a certain point, and it'll prevent a lot of people from ham-fisting and breaking their controller. Now, the other huge change to this is no more Hall effect triggers. This has switchable full pull triggers and mouse click triggers, and it's a very clean mechanism. It feels great. The mouse clicks feel great, and they are real mouse clicks. You'll notice as well the sticks are slightly different from the Apex 4s. These are made more of plastic, they've told me, and there are hard stops in there to prevent over tensioning. The plastic is done to lower cost, but they are the same sensor sticks as used on the Apex 4. Now, the analog sticks use the same replaceable stick toppers that the Apex 4 and the Vader 3 use, so if you already have sticks for those, you can use those here. The only difference between the Apex 4 and these sticks is that the housing on the Vader 4 is made of more plastic, and nothing feels mechanically worse. Many analog sticks already use plastic. The over-engineered Apex 4 stick really cost a lot of money, and they're saving some here. The sticks still feel buttery smooth, the best that I've ever used, and I have no drift whatsoever. They feel exactly the same as the Apex 4 sticks to me. Now, you'll also see on the face of the controller, there are two extra buttons below the face buttons. These are the C and Z buttons. These are customizable in the software, as well as the 4 back buttons on the back. These are in the same place as the Apex 4, so nothing's changed there. Every press on this controller is mechanical, including the face buttons, as well as the 4 back buttons that are the same as the Apex 4. Those are mechanical click too, and all of those customizable buttons are able to be mapped in the Flydigi Space Station software. These can be mapped to either controller presses or to keyboard presses. The third obvious change is that there is no screen on this. There is just a customizable LED. I don't think that's going to bother anyone. Just like the Apex 4, the Vader 4 Pro is able to be connected via USB, wireless via a dongle at 1000 hertz. I don't use it because I just don't trust wireless, and I'm sitting here at my desk, or Bluetooth to other consoles, mobile phones, and it can even connect to a Switch. This is not supported by Xbox or PlayStation. The Vader 4 Pro, just like the Apex 4, uses the Flydigi Space Station software, which, after using it and seeing it get updated over the last couple months, it's really great. They updated it a lot, they improved stability, and it really is just great software. There have been a couple times where it's crashed on me and reset a couple binds, but it takes 2 seconds to remap, and it's pretty easy. After recording all this, Flydigi has actually been impressively on top of software updates, updating the Flydigi Space Station software, the PC software for stability, and just the other day they pushed out a firmware update for the Vader 4 Pro, not a day after they mentioned they noticed some button latency issues in some user reports. A day to fix that and roll that out is really impressive. I'll show on the screen here how to go about updating the firmware. You'll probably have to do this because the new firmware didn't get on the units before they shipped. You go to the top right of the window, click the controller icon. You can see here, you can click update firmware, and then just continue through the prompts. It should update just fine. This is the overview page where you can map some of the buttons. We're not going to do it in here. We'll do it in the main page. It goes over your mappings, your dead zones, the curve that you have on your sticks, whether you have gyro on, vibration, and your LED modes. We'll go ahead right over to the button section, and this is where you can remap any of your buttons. So besides the 2 small mode buttons at the bottom, anything on the controller can be remapped. So if you want to move your ping somewhere else and you want to melee with the up button on the D-pad, you can absolutely do that. For me, you can see my mapping here. I have jump and switch weapon, as well as slide and R on the keyboard. For my Warzone players out there, this is huge. If you map one of the back paddles to R, you can automatically reload in a gunfight and not have to loot everything on the ground. That also means in game, I can have tap to interact set, so I can tap to loot on the face button. And as a mouse and key player, instead of having to hold a button to do something, it just like unstops my brain for some reason. So I can reload on the back here and then tap to loot just by these mappings here. And then you can see the C and Z buttons I have mapped to H, which is auto run in Warzone. So I can take a drink of water just by pressing a button on my controller and I'll just keep running. And then I have V, which is my push to talk, so I can talk crap in game. I would have liked to see the C and Z buttons up near the trigger clusters as well, because them down on the face like it is, it's kind of a reach to do anything, and you can't really shoot and aim and press those buttons at the same time. But they are nice for push to talk and other features. For any buttons mapped to keyboard presses to work on the Flydigi controller, you do have to run the Flydigi software. You do not have to keep it open though. I found I only have to boot it once before I get into game, and then those keybinds will continue to function. The joystick tab is arguably the largest update to controllers I have ever seen. At first glance, it doesn't seem like anything important, right? You have your left joystick, you have your right joystick, and you can adjust each. You can change the curve, you can draw your own curve. I've left this alone because I use dynamic in Call of Duty. You have a dead zone, which I've left at 0. You don't want to go below 0 if you're playing Apex or COD, because those games don't have built-in dead zones. Some games do, so you can go negative on the dead zone, and will help you get a true 0 dead zone in that game. For me, these are Hall effect joysticks, and they won't get drift, so I'm going to leave these at 0. You can also bring in the joystick edge if you want to make it negative. This essentially makes 100% on your joystick closer to the sensor, and thus making the curve more sensitive. I, again, am not going to mess with this. If you want to, you can. I leave both of these at 0. Now, the next option here, in my opinion, is the most revolutionary thing I've seen on a controller in a very long time. The tooltips in the software have gotten great, so I'm going to click that question mark here and leave this up. I'll make it bigger on the screen here while I talk. You can pause it and read it, because its explanation is probably going to be better than mine. Now, when you use a joystick, its readout is expected to be a circle by most shooter games. Now, some racing games like Rocket League expect it to be a square, but that's an outlier, and we're not really going to talk about it in this scenario. If you plug in your controller and search Gamepad Tester on Google and go to this website, you'll be able to scroll down and check a box that says check circularity. If you rotate your stick in a circle, you'll see a circularity score. It's anywhere from 5 to 15%, depending how old your controller is and how good of a copy of analog sticks you've received. In the software here, I can choose between circular or rectangle. As I mentioned, some games want rectangle. For me, on my movement stick, rectangle feels better, so I leave it there. But on my right stick, I can scroll down and change it to circle. As you can see here on the screen from my test on Gamepad Tester, you can see my left stick set to rectangular scored terribly on the circularity test. And my right stick, which is set to circular, scored a perfect 0%. Now, what does a perfect 0% mean? In game, when you're aiming, it feels like the consistent speed of aim doesn't change when you go diagonal. Because if you think about it, if the outer bounds of the circle are slightly wider where the corners of the square are, then your aim is going to get inconsistent when you aim diagonally, which happens a lot in Warzone. With this perfect circularity, I've never had aim that felt like a mouse until I've tried this controller. Perfect circularity on your right stick should definitely not be underrated, and when it's combined with some of the other features we're going to talk about in this controller, it is really just a whole nother world. Now, there's one more hidden gem here, and this isn't per left or right stick. These options here are going to be for the joysticks overall. So at the very, very bottom, you'll see click here to enter advanced settings of the joystick, which take effects globally. So you click here and it opens a new window. We're going to spend a little bit of time here going over the tooltips and kind of going over what these things do. The first thing we're going to talk about is the first option, joystick debounce. Now, what this is, and it's typically on, is it filters out very small changes, like when the joystick is sitting at its resting position and the computer is reading it, say, between 0.01 and 0.02. That little motion is going to show up as jitter, but that little motion is also accuracy in your micro corrections. So with this on, it kind of filters out a little bit of jitter, but with it off, it is the rawest input you can have from the controller to the PC. So in my opinion, as the tooltip says, turn this off for FPS games. By turning that off, you lose control over the joystick automatic calibration, which we don't want. We don't want the PC doing any kind of automatic calibration to the joysticks. We want raw input. The next option is the most exciting in my opinion, and that is joystick accuracy. You can see it has increments from 12-bit down to 8-bit. Now, this is also going to be the hardest one to describe to you guys. Most of y'all have played on either 8 or 9-bit analog sticks. What that means is there's only so much resolution in where the stick can be. The bit refers, let's imagine it as a bucket, right? And that's how many places the controller can be. The bigger the bucket, the more places it can be. Most controllers you've played on have been 8-bit. With this, you can turn up the joystick accuracy to 12-bit, meaning every little adjustment you make is more likely to make a micro adjustment in-game than playing on most controllers, which, like I said, are only 8-bit. If you need more help with this, the tooltip here, I'll make it big on the screen and you can pause it and read over it. They probably do a better job describing it than I do. Under joystick accuracy is joystick polling rate. Now we're all familiar with this, and this is what we overclock our controllers for. So here you can choose 500, 250, 125 hertz. We don't want that for a first-person shooter. We're going to keep it on 1000 hertz. This next one, joystick center sensitivity, I've been playing around a lot with. It's very, very slight changes. I'll again pull up the tooltip here. I'll make it big on screen. You can pause it. You can read it. What this is just how quickly will the controller move away from center. I've put it on the fastest. I've tried it on medium. I've tried it on slow. Fast feels really good to me, but sometimes in sniping, it can feel a little jittery. You can play around with this. Like I said, I think this is very, very minor changes. The last item in the advanced joysticks page is joystick rebounce algorithm. And if you hover over the tooltip, again, you can pause, I'll blow it up. It says it softens out the data from when you let go of the stick and it returns to center. Personally, I've never seen any adverse effects from this. Sometimes it's kind of funny, your gun jiggles in the middle of the screen. But for me, I don't want the computer doing any kind of smoothing or changing the data at all. I want the data coming from my aim on the controller to be just that and not be affected, so we are going to leave this setting off. Once you complete all those, there is no save here. You can just close this option. Gyro is pretty self-explanatory. We don't want a gyro aim. The triggers here have some settings that I don't mess with because I permanently leave mine in mouse click trigger mode. Again, those are switches on the back that you can change. I do switch off trigger vibration here because I just don't want any vibration at all. And then under general, you can set your LED colors. You can choose different modes. You can choose the brightness, and you can also turn on or off controller vibration. Like I said, I leave that off. There's also the test tab, just like the Apex 4. And as you crank on the joysticks, you can see the polling rate in the top right there go well above 1000 hertz sometimes. And in my testing, the synthetic testing that I did in the Apex 4 video, it scored exactly the same as the Apex 4, which tells me the processing unit, the brain inside this controller, is very, very similar, if not the same as the Apex 4. So I'm not even going to show those tests. If you wanted to see the test of the Apex 4 compared to some classic controllers, you can watch my original Apex 4 video, linked in the description of the thumbnail showed on screen here. Another important thing to know is how to recalibrate your Flydigi controller. If you're getting a little bit too much drift or the inputs are feeling weird, you can hold the select, start, and up on the D-pad buttons. For a couple seconds, the controller will begin to flash. You can rotate the sticks around several times, press all the buttons on the face, the back, the triggers, the bumpers. Once that's done, you can hold the select, start, and up button again until it stops flashing. You have now recalibrated the sticks and the buttons on your Flydigi controller. Like I said, I've been daily driving this in Warzone for about a month, playing almost every day, and I am in love with this controller. Initially, when I played on the Apex 4, I wasn't really sure about the Xbox shape, but this slightly smaller size, I am almost more of a fan of the Xbox shape than I was ever before. I've never really played on controller. Warzone was the first game I started learning in Warzone 2, and it was almost exclusively on PlayStation controllers. The move to Xbox has been so ergonomic and comfortable, and in my opinion, you would be a fool to miss out on all the innovation in the sticks in here. Tension on the outside, 12-bit resolution, the highest resolution sticks you can get on any controller, driftless, tensionable on the outside, perfect circularity or rectangularity if you need it for something like Rocket League, extra buttons, 1000 hertz polling rate, great software. I would say my only complaint is the lack of rubber grips, but you buy $11 grip tape and it's perfect. And the best part is the price. Now, as of recording this video, I have a loose idea of what it's gonna be. I don't wanna spoil it and make this video not worth it, so I'm just gonna show it on the screen here. Yeah. That's insane. For that price, you could buy 2 of these and have one as a backup. There's also going to be a special edition Assassin's Creed version of this controller, and there's already a special edition Assassin's Creed version of the Apex 4. I will be doing a video covering both of those here on the channel and a giveaway over on my Twitch, twitch.tv/art_is_war. So you want to be followed over there so you can win that giveaway. I've had this video locked and loaded for quite some time. I've just been waiting on the release to get sorted out, and mainly the release on Amazon. Why is that? Well, this is a Chinese company and they don't really have a footprint in Europe or North America. So the best way to get an insurance policy or have some way to return this controller is to get it through Amazon. I would even say if you're in EU, it might be worth it to spend those extra bucks on getting it from NA Amazon so that you can get a good return policy, and if anything happens or if there are any quality control issues with the copy that you get, then you're able to return it much easier than going through AliExpress. Also, the Amazon links do support our channel, and it allows me to track sales and work with Flydigi in the future on future products, and I have some stuff planned. I don't want to share it with you because I haven't shared it with them. Now, that being said, I'm always a bargain hunter, so these will be available on AliExpress as well. I'll include links to both in the description below. I mean, to wrap it up, I love this controller. I'm in love with it. With the grip tape, it's perfect. I have another copy of the grip tape on its way to me so I can put it back on after filming the macro shots for this, and I can't wait. This is a lovely controller. I think everybody should try it, and for the price, it's worth it. It's worth it. Buy it on Amazon, and if you don't like it, return it. I believe that this is near perfect controller. The more people that support, the more we can do cool stuff with Flydigi in the future, and I think you know what I want to do, and I think we can do it. So thank you guys so much for support. Like the video, subscribe so you know when I upload that video about the Assassin's Creed special editions, and you have more info about that giveaway. Until the next video where we cover some cheaper IEMs, I will catch y'all later. Peace.